crazy pump this week on crypto. Kind of nice to see after so many weeks of selling off.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see if it maintains here. I don't know. I'm still pessimistic. Bit of
Yeah.
a bear.
Unlikely.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's probably gonna peak out pretty soon here and then kind of continue its downtrend. But we'll have to see.
Yeah,
It's not an exact. Yeah. You also trading crypto in your free time, or just? I guess we can. I'll ask that later. I feel like because I'm always curious how people got into this space, but that's like usually our first interview question. So
yeah.
since there's still waiting for people to get the pings and stuff. Oh, what up? What up? But yeah, trying to think. I've been getting real deep into like these like the DeFi stuff on Ethereum. I love those those like protocols like Curve and Angle and Balancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are so fucking cool.
I wish I had more time, man, to be honest. But
yeah. I was reading over some of like the math on how those like stable coins remain at peg, and it's just so over my head. I'm trying to understand it, but it's fascinatingly complicated. But yeah, it's fun. Let's see, what else have I been? I've also been playing some wax games lately here, mining my CPR coin pirates. I've been sailing the seas.
nice.
I was mining some helium and moon mining. I got my brawler going. He's my what is his name? Mike Yellerbelly. The like yeah, it's fun. Oh, and ZOS, I've been sending my survivors out. It's got a whole little like game going on here. It's fun.
Army going on. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the Brawlers is almost over with the mining phase too.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Right.
See where they go with it.
I wonder how that's gonna.
The price of the Brawlers happens after the mining capacity stops, because I think there's a bunch of people that are just like basically farming the mining and probably having zero interest in playing the actual game, and then there's that downtime in between. Could definitely see the market tanking until the game comes out.
Yeah, I wonder. I still got to get through the last of my ring. I got 40 uses left in my ring. If I don't use them, I don't think they're useful after the mining phase ends.
Yeah, the ring and the gear becomes useless after the mining phase, but the brawler is still kind of like the key to get into the PvP phase.
Oh, damn, Jeff got a Scotty, he said, on the aftermarket for 430. Damn, those have come down a lot for a Scotty, dude. What?
Yeah, everything's
that makes sense, I guess, with what you're. Yeah, people are pricing in the fact that they're going to stop mining.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a matter of days, I think, not even weeks anymore.
Yeah, it's people think before August it's going to be done. It's a little hard to like do the exact math because, as we just said, the rings and the gear become useless afterwards. So people anticipate they're going to stop crafting gear and rings like at a certain point. So like the mining will slow down towards the end and kind of like fizzle out instead of people like crafting the gear that amplifies it. But it's also like, who knows? This has never happened before. So maybe people do keep crafting gear.
Yeah. It's funny to me that it ends, but there's nothing like new being introduced in the meantime. So it's just kind of like, I usually have to wait because it's not timed out well enough to.
Well, there is. That's what the land is. The land is introduced.
I guess maybe it is. Yeah, you're right.
Use case for Brawl, but only the people
that buy
you're right. Do that. So
yeah, I'm kind of priced out on there. It's fucking $2,500 for the cheaper one.
Yeah,
but
that's a pass for me. But I'm saving my Brawl because like the way the crafting works is you can level up your crafting level, and you're like you have like 100% chance to get commons at level 1, and then like if you get to level 50, then you have a chance to get uncommon. So the whales are going to be like crafting it over and over and over, and it costs Brawl to craft. So I assume they're going to be selling packs for Brawl because they're going to make a marketplace where you can sell stuff for the in-game token. So if you don't have land, if you just save your Brawl, you should be able to buy the packs from the people trying to level up. but
Yeah.
not much of a game besides like buying and opening packs or trying to flip them, which
Yeah. I like Baggy Holder saying maybe his strategy of buying a pack and holding on to it wasn't the best. Maybe not. So it remains to be seen, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
maybe,
it's not looking good.
collectors will want them.
Yeah, BDAO is offering a solution. So
Yeah, you just send him that.
yeah. Fun. Nice. But yeah. I like this picture here that we have on screen. First, I want to full screen my head. It's very like fantasy world meets like Tron almost.
Yeah, it's
At least
kind of the the backstory, I guess, is there's kind of like 6 individual realms, which have their own different sort of species and sort of makeup. So they're all individually different based on an element. So there's light, space, time, water, earth.
hell yeah.
So yeah, it kind of sort of formulates like the baseline, and it'll also formulate kind of like their skills and stuff as we march forward later to the PvP layer. So it'll kind of be like a lot of PvP games. There'll be yin and yang. So you'll be stronger against certain realms than others, and so, but yeah, I mean that's kind of
that's like
right now is the eco kind of mode, or the eco layer is kind of like what we're building out right now. So that's kind of what we've launched first. Is everything's kind of generic right now, but it'll start to formulate into more custom resources that will be produced by each realm themselves. So that's where it'll get interesting, because you can build economies basically in each of the realms. So eventually you'll be able to set up like trading posts and things like that. So you can start shipping like resources from water back to light, and then, craft them to sort of create something unique. So that'll give you, so for example, it could be like a potion or something like that from shadow that you bring back to light, and that'll give you a buff and in PvP that you could sell as a retailer, basically. So we're sort of creating like a full supply chain, if you will, from like a raw resource all the way through to selling a physical good. And that will sort of act as a mechanism where these early adopters can then sell those things to PvP players when they come later. So it's going to be very sort of interconnected, intertwined. So there'll be kind of tons of opportunities to create different things, and then create a ton of value for players as well, where they can sort of, depending on what the raw resource is, it could be rare. There might not be many of that rare resource, so it might produce something that gives you an instant kill or something. So there's going to be a whole range of different things that we're going to introduce. So so that was kind of why we started with the economy mode first. So that's kind of like what you were commenting on at the start. Sort of the illustration on the screen here is like a representation of the different buildings from each of the realms. So you've got the light materials building there on the left, the shadow and time, and then the grid kind of represents the economy game board, if you will. So when you actually go into the game right now, they're like individual squares. So it looks very sort of sim-like. SimCity 2D.
And then the things you'd place on the grids are like your owned assets, like your NFTs.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so your buildings, essentially, you purchase the land, and then you can add a building to the land. And so you'll go into one of the realms. Each realm is then broken down into individual districts. And then you play with other players. So when you actually go into the UI, there'll be other people that have put their buildings down as well. So it's an MPOG experience. So you'll be in there working with other players, and so you can add add your own skilled workers then into the building to mine resources. You can have your own workers, or you can have other players put their workers in your buildings if you want to.
So if I don't have a land, I could still come and play on somebody else's land if I just have workers. Kind of.
Correct. Yeah. So you can either play as totally active if you want. You can have land, building, and workers. You could start the game just with workers. So there's plenty of options depending on your budget, how you want to play, how much time you have. So we've tried to create as much flexibility as possible. The game can be played on desktop. It can be played on mobile as well.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, our team is made up of a lot of ex-corporate guys. We've built tons of Web 2 stuff. So we've built a lot of mobile apps. We've built mobile e-commerce sites. So mobile was super important for us. We wanted to make sure the game was really accessible to players on mobile.
That's super important for games in general, I think.
Yeah, so I think for us, we've tried to lean into a lot of our Web 2 experience as much as possible. So just the game experience itself, and just sort of where we're going with our roadmap, and just how we're sort of just even trying to approach the community. We're super accessible in Discord. We're not sort of being unavailable. We want to chat with people and learn and hear their feedback and what they're looking for. So we try to be as active as we can with everyone to see what features people are interested in. So the game version we released, it was very much just an MVP, so just a minimum viable product we wanted to get out to the market to start. And then really we plan to just continue to release more features, updates, and that's the plan. So we are, like I said, we've been fortunate enough where our group is self-funded. We are sort of going through active fundraising right now. So the project's very solid financially, which is important. I know that's obviously a huge concern right now, and a lot of unknowns about whether projects are going to make it or not. So
a lot of people's treasuries getting wiped out by these markets.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, the game is it's really just one piece of our project. So our background, we have a pretty diverse group of guys from gaming, entertainment, CPG packaging brands, retail. So we plan, I think for us, we've released the game right now, but for us, we feel the IP is where the big opportunity is for us. So the story itself, we're planning to have a whole different track that will live on a different chain. There's going to be off-chain content surrounding the story itself. So you'll be able to watch, episodes of the story. You can purchase NFTs from the episode. Stake them to essentially decide what happens in the story. So we're going to have a whole
that's cool
aspect to the story itself, because we want to really go hard after the entertainment side. So we have our artists are all comic book guys. So we have a lot of different opportunities that we're pursuing right now to support the overall infrastructure. So the plan is to have a token. So the Novo token, which hasn't been released yet, it'll be essentially will be the driver of this whole microeconomy. So it'll be pegged to wax. There'll be an ERC20 version of it as well, and you'll be able to purchase game assets, entertainment pieces, collectibles, whatever, with that token itself. So we plan to have it, have a lot of utility across all the different IP and pieces. So it sort of takes a lot of the pressure off the game itself, just being the be-all, end-all. It gives us an opportunity to build a stronger business overall, because we're going to have multiple projects going that'll all be interconnected with each other. So I think that's sort of, again, based on our, there's a lot of corpo speak in there, but that's kind of really what our strength is. We've come from that world, we know it well. So we're trying to build something very solid and foundational that's going to, be around in, 2-3 years plus, so that's kind of the genesis of really where we're trying to go overall. So
nice. I like that. I like hearing the focus is the entertainment. It's a game after all, so the focus of it is to make something fun, which I think you're right in that's where the value lies, like the IP and like building the community around some like actual engaging fun stuff.
No, absolutely. I mean, we were at NFT NYC, and I spoke at the event as well, and it was interesting just kind of hearing where things are at right now in the space. And I think that was the big takeaway of how, even though there was a lot of other chains obviously that were there, a lot of big games that are coming out in the next 6 to 12 months, but I think it's the moving away from, I'm just here because I'm speculating versus I'm here because I want to play. And we just haven't got there yet.
Agreed.
Like we saw some incredible shit that's coming in the next, 6 to 12 months on some of the big EVMs. But I think it's heading in the right direction. Obviously there's some other games that have just popped recently, Illuvium and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if the industry starts to, some of the more traditional gamers that just like to play games.
Right. That really isn't present yet.
It is not. No, I mean,
definitely not.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but yeah, I mean, I think
we're starting to see a bit of a transition, because you see stuff like Blankos is going to launch in the Epic Game Store. Gala Games
I'm so excited for that
in the Epic Game Store. So like, I don't know, it's not easy for gamers to find the games even now. Like if you're not in the crypto space, it's like, where do you find them? So like getting them in game stores where gamers actually are, I think will be a big step. And then you're also starting to see real game developers hop over. So I do think we're like kind of in a transitional phase, but like adaption's not going to be immediate. It's going to be gradual. So I do think like now you don't see a lot, but I think 5 years from now, it's going to be a totally different landscape where gamers, whether they know it or not, are having NFTs as part of their gaming experience.
Yeah. I mean, and for us, I mean, that was really where we've created a game it's a progression style game. So the NFTs are the focal point of the game. So the in-game token that's there and the supporting resources are designed to move you forward in the game. So whereas most of the games that we see on Wax, it's just a simple mine and liquidate mechanism. And with our game, we've tried to take inspiration from games like, Clash and these type of games where you have to accumulate the resources to move forward. You have to upgrade your storage. You've got to upgrade, your buildings, your weapons, and all these sort of things. So it puts more emphasis on moving that NFT, taking it from like level 1 to level 2 to 3 to 4, which then gives you more value on the secondary market for that NFT itself. So I think for us, like that's really what we felt was important was, we're working with a third party called Machinations that's really been helping us with the whole Web3 economy infrastructure. And started working with them. It was interesting because they said it's just, you're dealing with NFTs and tokens. There's so many moving parts that are happening with Web3 that it's just so easy for the thing to tip quickly. And so for us, we're trying to be cognizant of that because we want players essentially to start at the same starting point. And that happens with traditional games. Everybody starts at level 1. So, we wanted to take that sort of approach with the game where, everybody's going to start moving at different paces, but you're all starting at the same point. There isn't this massive inflationary pressure on the token because you've got a whole bunch of whales that have opted in at legendary or up levels and are just mining the shit out of the game. everybody's got to work their way through these stages, and have to upgrade and hold the resources and then spend the resources. So we've just really focused on adding drains into the game, so you have to spend the resources, and ultimately upgrading your NFTs. So we want to see a whole range of value in these NFTs from level 1 and up, and we just feel like that's a better approach to take for longevity for the game and the health of the game.
So just to take it back a little bit, how did you get into like crypto? And I guess like, were you into crypto before NFTs, or did NFTs lead you into crypto? Like, what was your journey to find Wax?
Yeah, so I've been into crypto for a long time. I was very, very early into Ethereum, and that was really a byproduct. I spent a decade working at Pepsi, and at the time I was actually leading a project there where Pepsi came out with, you might remember, it was called Pepcoin. And originally we were actually looking at that coin to be Ethereum based. And so it was super early. I mean, this was when Ethereum was like 50 cents. It was very, very early. And so I was pushing pretty hard for us to, at the time, for it to be blockchain based, and everybody thought I was just on massive, copious amounts of drugs. It was just too soon. They just didn't grasp it. But obviously that led me to, investing very early into a lot of crypto. I haven't really held any sort of I haven't held Bitcoin at all. It's really been a lot of other tokens. And then, I'm a massive collectibles person, big into NBA trading cards and baseball and football and stuff. So I've always been a big collector. So came across Wax about a year and a half ago. Garbage Pail Kids was my first entry into Wax, and then had some cogs and different things. And then, it was just kind of, we saw things happening in the space, and my colleagues, we're all very, very much into the same thing. So, we sort of looked at an opportunity to build something which we thought would be fun to do. We've all worked together in different capacities, and so we've kind of, brought the band back together, I suppose you could say, to kind of build a project that we really want to do, based on our different skills that we have. So it's and we spent probably a year just sitting on the sidelines, observing and seeing how things were shaking out last year on Wax, and we saw a lot of good things, some indifferent things, and so it sort of, I think, helped us sort of decide which pathway we wanted to take. And like I said, we've kind of been fortunate. It's not a good time right now, but it's a good time to build. Taken a lot of the pressure off of us to have to force things out there into the market too soon. We want to really build a quality product. And so I think for us, that's been the focus of the data that we're getting right now is real data. It's not inflated. So it's helping us understand kind of where we're really at right now.
That's a good point.
So, look, I mean, it's just going to be a hard ride here for a little while, until we kind of hit bottom, and everybody's kind of speculating on when that's going to be. But I think for us, it's we've gone through recessions in the past. We've experienced all of that in different careers, and so at the end of the day, if you have a good product, you can sustain those things. If you have no product, you are on a one-way ticket to destination fucked. So it's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So for us, it's that's what we're really concentrating on, is just the product and the different product types that we want to build.
I think it's also like really differentiating the people that kind of just jumped in during the bull market as a cash grab, and the people who are actually like interested in the space and the technology and building and stuff. Like, you're definitely seeing people being weeded out. So as much as the bear market sucks for our portfolios, it is kind of nice to weed some of the trash out of the space, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, I mean, I think there's just a lot of individuals that, and you see it a lot just in the different chats and stuff like that, where there's just unnecessary pressure to push something because they want to just pump and dump it. I don't really give a shit about your product or your cards or your game or whatever. It's just, when's the token? Why is it not going up? And I
How
think,
long is the ROI?
yeah, it's like, I want an ROI in 5 minutes, and it's just all the traditional investment principles go out the window. And so, yeah, look, I mean, it was very eye-opening watching it last year, because we were just like, we want to do this. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I think the shift will happen. I mean, I'm kind of showing my age now, but I mean, this happened at the very start of the .com era. There was the same shit was happening. There was so much crap out there with no value, overinflated price, and the correction had to happen, and it did. And ultimately, the winners prevailed eventually, and it will be the same here. If you're not building something of value, you won't make it. Because the market will weed you out eventually. So, that's why for us, I mean,
it's a frustratingly slow process, but it will happen.
It is a slow grind. And again, it's the struggle, I think, with the developers we met in New York was they would love to go faster, but, the guys that are building on Polygon and some of these other chains, some of these great games that are going to come out, I mean, they're on the sidelines for a year plus. And that's not by nature a good place to be in this space. So it's kind of, you're building the plane either as you're flying, or you have to really be well funded and be just head down, just developing like crazy for 12 months plus. And, those are really paths that you have to take. So it's, it will be interesting to see, but I think there's some really good stuff that's coming through. Mavia and some of these other games that are close to launching soon, I think are going to be really good for the industry. So,
yeah, definitely. So if I want to get started now with Novopangea, what would be like my first entry point if I wanted to, like, I don't own any assets yet, but I do want to play. Or actually, let's
we also had a question. He said,
I
feel a little overwhelmed getting into Novopangea. I have several NFTs of various types. Other than reading the white paper, what is a small first step to get started in the game?
Oh, right. It's like my same question.
Yeah, it's good question. So I think once you get into the game, I mean, you really, or even if you're new and you haven't got started yet, I think there's a couple of different approaches. Like we said, you can either take a sort of full scale approach if you want to, which is, land building and skilled workers. There is some learning that you have to go through, and you definitely need to read the game guide if you want to kind of see how those pieces all interconnect. If it's more just a case of, hey, I just want to try this on and, purchase something low entry, then I think personally, like, the skilled worker is the route to go, because you can just pick one of those up on the secondary today, or you can, buy some packs, and you can exchange them in our marketplace for a skilled worker if you want to. So I think there's certainly a couple of different pathways that you can go, but I totally understand, like, it's, we've created a lot of layers here at the start, even for an MVP type product. It's not a single clicker. There's a lot of steps that you have to take, when you're managing your building and managing your workers, because the workers essentially complete a shift and then they go into a rest cool down. You have to feed them, so we're introducing, so anybody that's played any sort of eco management sort of style games like Sims and Civilization and these type of games, it's, there's tasks that essentially you have to do to keep things moving. We've introduced some of those at the start, but it can be a little overwhelming for some folks to kind of understand all the moving pieces. So that's why I think the skilled worker route's the way to go. There's a lot of building owners right now that kind of have their buildings available for rent. It's not so much for rent, but are available for you to work in. So you can actually go into the game and see building owners that have posted their buildings as available for you to work in. You can do that from the main UI map, or there's an actual jobs board as well that you can go to kind of see where you can add your workers.
Do these writers packs, the ones that are still available, these do not contain the workers, or what are in these packs?
Yeah, so what we did was these are story-based cards, essentially. So we wanted to introduce some of the story piece through these this first chapter release that we did. So in order for us to add some utility for these, you can essentially, each rarity tier is assigned a credit value. So like a common is 1, and it goes all the way up to mythic. So like a legendary card is 64 credits, for example. So you can then go into our marketplace, which is at hub.novopangea.io, and you'll see essentially all the cards that you've opened in there inside your wallet, and you can then exchange them for game pieces. So you could exchange it for land, you could exchange it for a skilled worker. So a skilled worker has a value of 13 credits. Land has value of 32 credits. So depending on where the market is at the time, land's actually better value on the secondary right now, but skilled workers, at least the last time I looked, I think it was actually better value getting it through the marketplace, doing sort of the swap. So the writers packs, on average, you'll get about 16 credits per pack. So that's kind of
about enough to get a skilled worker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So unless the ring kind of screws you over and you end up with 10 commons, but on average, you'll end up with around 16 credits. So epics and up will also have extra utility in the game. So we're releasing a feature here soon of the resting cooldowns. It'll actually accelerate those if you have any of the high-end cards. So you can apply an epic, a legendary, or a mythic if you're lucky enough to get one to accelerate the rest periods. And that's some extra utility that we added for those specific cards. So we've seen a lot of players are kind of transferring their low-end cards to accumulate the game pieces, and then they're holding kind of the epics and up to help support them with the cooldown reduction when that comes.
Let's see. I just got a pack. Let's see if I can get the RNG.
Yeah, let's see what you pull.
Not all commons. Not all commons. And we're loading.
Let's see.
Oh, I forgot the. There's one color.
Oh, you got a rare. Nice. That's
Oh.
actually a pretty good pack. So I think you got over 20 credits on that one.
Nice. The artwork also looks awesome. That was the first thing that, like, when people are like, check this project out, I'm like, the artwork in this is like a lot better than your average like play to earn game on Wax.
Yeah, I mean like I was saying, this is kind of where the entertainment piece really comes in. The IP is just pretty awesome. So, the characters, the creatures that are in each realm, and all the weapons and things like that. I mean, you're starting to see some of it in the story cards already. But that's really going to come out later, during the PvP pieces, and then on the entertainment side, for the story part. So.
And when I pick my realm, is this like locking it in, or is that just like?
No, it's not locking it in right now. You can change it anytime in the profile. Once you go into the game for the first time, once you pick a realm, that is locked until we release realm permits. So the realm permit is going to allow you to have business essentially in another realm. So if you have a shadow realm permit, for example, you could be in the earth realm and you might have buildings in shadow as well. So
Oh,
when I use the creator credits, does that burn my cards?
It transfers them, yeah. So they're not burning them; they're transferring them to our treasury. We're not planning to resell them or anything like that. It's just they're just sitting there in a vault, and that was really just transparently legal advice that we got from our attorneys to not burn the actual cards themselves, but to actually hold them so we weren't potentially manipulating supply. So.
oh.
I'm gonna
See.
I wonder if I think Jeff said he has a bunch of land in the chat. Does anybody have space land that I can use if I get a space worker? What worker should I get? I like the space look though. It's got we're neon space, so I got to be a space guy, right?
Well, I'll say that the game board in space looks pretty dope. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Do you need to know the person, or can I just see like what land is available to use if I get the worker?
It can be a random man, as long as they've posted the building to be available to add workers, you just drop it in there.
All right, well, I'm gonna redeem a space worker.
So you'll just go through here, and you can either just hit select all. If you're over the 13, it'll give you a refund card that you can use for next time. So it's kind of like a little gift card, if you will. And it just sort of quickens up the process for next time. So it was pretty decent pack, 21 for our riders pack's pretty good.
Nice.
So just make sure you have your pop-up blocker turned off as well. So
I'm not sure if I do.
You'll see it. It'll
yell at you.
We'll see. I'm going to keep my one card that was a colored card because I like the art.
Yeah, the uncommon's cool. For sure.
Yeah, like the animation on the rare was cool too.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's all black and white and rare, and then it goes to color animation. So it goes from black and white to color, and then the legendary has full color plus sound.
Whew, that's dope. I like that each rarity also just like elaborates on the previous like artwork. That's cool. It's not just like adding a filter or something to it as much as like improving the like quality of the like artwork, which I like that a lot.
Yeah. So
here's commons. Then we got uncommon as color. Rare is these guys. Epic. Goes from black and white to color.
Yeah, black and white to color, and then legendary. It's got full sound, so you should be able to hear that.
Let me unmute my thing real quick. It's dope. Space Society, these are my guys.
Give me a
Dope. And then just one more. We have mythics. There's not a lot of mythics available. Dope.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah.
I did see we had a question. Somebody said, "Can I use a building if I don't own land?"
Yeah, so if so some players will just have rented out their land. So if you don't own land, that's totally fine. You just need to find someone that's made it available. So if you end up getting into the game here, Lewis, I can kind of show a couple things here.
So I
Yeah.
want to choose spacer. Let me make sure I got the right.
Yeah, so just
I got my space. Skilled work.
over there. Yeah,
There he is.
so just go and select a realm. So here's kind of where you'll start to pick and decide where you want to go. So if you click on the map there, that'll zoom you in now to all the districts that are available. So all the districts are not available right now. We have more districts potentially that will open up in the future as the user base grows, but right now it's closed off. So these 10 districts are what's available right now. So this is kind of one of the districts. It's a little light, but so you can kind of see like the grid here, on the game board. If you want to go back and look at another realm, just click on the space icon there on the right-hand side, down the bottom right corner. Yep. And that'll
Just your mind is based on that sci-fi movie, though. I kind of like the number.
Yeah. So one of the things like I'll share as well is so we haven't introduced the concept of travel yet. So, but that is going to be coming. So as the game kind of continues to expand, like I was saying, you'll be able to travel to other realms. You can travel as well to other districts. So as these districts start to fill out and people are looking for jobs, you might be in District 1 here, but need to go into District 2 to work for a shift. So we'll be introducing kind of like a time factor to get from point A to point B. So there won't be any travel factor in these actual districts themselves to go from top to bottom or left to right. But where you position yourself in terms of what district you choose is probably something to consider. So for example, if you look at the space realm, they're close to water and light. So that might be a couple of other realms that you might go, well, maybe I want to get a couple of buildings in those other realms as well. So I want to then be close to one of these other districts here. So there's water. So you might want to position yourself to be a little closer, at a certain point. So as you're going from point A to point B, it's going to be less time, if that makes sense.
So I'll be close to Earth if I do District 1.
Yeah, correct. So that sort of might then, impact you then saying, okay, well, if I want to expand out to another realm, then I'm gonna play Earth as well, and then I'm gonna try to get in that district that's directly across as well, because that'll reduce your time that you need to travel. So if we have a look at this
land on multiple at the same time, because I know you said you had to choose your faction. Like if I choose space, can I still have Earth land and still do stuff in Earth?
Not at the minute, but that, like I was saying, the realm permit's coming out really soon. So it's not going to be like months either. So when I say soon, it's soon. So if you have been accumulating, buildings or land, for example, in Earth, you'll be able to play those, very soon. And so like right now, if you choose this particular district, so for example, if you add your worker to someone's building here, it means that you're choosing District 1 to be your residence, essentially, for the next 30 days. And that's just really, we haven't introduced taxation yet, but it is coming. So each particular district will eventually will start accumulating tax revenue, and they'll be able to start to add some of their own infrastructure pieces. So it could be, they build an arena or something for PvP that's going to come later, for example, so that it can accumulate more revenue within the district itself.
The taxation, is that a flat rate, or do the landowners get to vote and decide on that?
Yeah, so that's eventually the plan. Is the whole premise of what we're trying to build here is that each district will sort of formulate as its own DAO. So you'll have the governance layer in play. where the residents can start to vote on, things they want to introduce from an infrastructure standpoint. They'll appoint a council member that will kind of sit on like the Space Realm Council. So you can kind of start to see how fantasy influence from all the different movies and shit that we've watched over the years that are coming out in this game. But that's kind of really where we're just trying to build the infrastructure right now to allow the game to grow into these different sort of governance layers and things like that, which gamers are sort of looking for in Web3, so that eventually, the players will have a lot more control over, what the taxation rate is of the district and these sort of things, and it can be all voted on by the residents themselves. So there can be taxation essentially for, just like there is today, the tax that you pay in the district that you live, but maybe you charge a higher tax rate for players that are non-residents that own buildings, for example, in your district.
Ooh, I like that.
So those are some of the strategic layers that'll be coming, as the game just continues to grow.
So it looks like it might be cheaper to buy a land claim than get it from the store at this point, right?
It's definitely, I mean, if you're just going to buy it straight up, I mean, if you look at what a common's going for right now, which is probably about a buck-ish, so a credits usually hovers anywhere between $1 and $1.20, call it. So, so that, you just kind of got to decide whether you
just based on my pack, I didn't pull enough to get a land.
You did not.
The same price as
if you want your own land, like, it's probably better to just buy it on secondary right now. And
this is the way the lands are distributed, right? You like only through the packs, and then the blend, which is not burning but sending the stuff to your. That's the only way that the lands are distributed. Is that right?
At the minute, yeah. So
okay,
I mean, we've sort of, when we originally launched it, we were trying to sort of circumnavigate the botting problem, that was happening, where just if we had like a land pack sale, would actual players get a hold of the land claim? So that was kind of the thought process. So we're kind of seeing pros and cons of kind of the creator credits. Some people like the fact that they can really pick what they want, but it's also adding another layer of complexity, I guess.
I like it, 'cause it feels like anything you pull from a pack has a use case. It's like,
I do too.
You pull something from a pack and you're like, I don't need that, I can just turn it into credits. So I actually kind of appreciate the system. I guess my next question is, if I get a land, it looks like 2 of the space buildings are already sold out, the food facility and the materials building. Will there be more of those in the future, or is that just all of the buildings?
Yeah, no, that's the plan. I mean, we went very light just in terms of the buildings that we released first, because we just didn't want to overflood the market. So we were just trying to be cognizant of what we released first based on the size of the player base. That's grown quite significantly since we've released the game. So we've got residential buildings will be coming out next. That's the next building type that's going to be coming out. So because that's going to be a layer that will be introduced to the game. So once a skilled worker finishes their shift, right now, like, it just automatically triggers the resting period once you've fed the worker. But once we introduce residential buildings, you'll actually need to assign your worker to a residence for them to rest. And that's, again, it's just to introduce more resource drains. You don't have to own every single asset. A lot of people like to be self-sufficient, but it's not restrictive at all. So you can certainly play this game just with a whole team of skilled workers if you want to. And as long as you're, have some of the other resources in your storage, you can pay, your food expenses or, your rental fee, to rest, essentially, which is going to be coming next. So it's definitely not leaning to one side, where you have to own all the assets. You certainly don't have to. A lot of players are obviously choosing to at the minute, but there's flexibility here depending on how you want to play.
I'm trying to do the quick math if it's cheaper if I buy the stuff or go for the credits. I think it's actually still cheaper if I just buy a building and a land than if I were to try to, like, even though it's sold out.
Yeah, I mean,
Should I try to get into the land game? Would that be helpful for the stream, or do people want to see? Because it's the same process basically. Like if you own a land in a building, it's just like you're putting it on your own land instead of somebody else's, right?
Correct. So what definitely, if you own a land in a building and you're planning to actively play, if you do, like, we've had some folks have kind of shared like mini P&Ls in the community. It's financially better if you have all the pieces because you're not having to pay rent. So because you are not going to charge rent to yourself. So so that's kind of where some of the savings come in from a, let's just call it like cash flow perspective. So so that's kind of where, like, again, you can your profit per shift is just not going to be as good if you're renting out from other players. So that's kind of what players just have to decide is whether they want to manage all the assets and the tasks, or if it's just easier to just use other people's stuff and take less.
Yeah. If you pick up a land, is it a specific spot allocated per NFT, or is it like a spot that you can then choose an available spot on, like you lay claim to one?
Yeah. So once you go to the map, your claim is your land claim is then essentially added to that square. You can move it after 7 days if you want to, and that was originally we were going to make everybody fuse the land to the board. But that was actually community feedback we got to make it more flexible, because what we don't want to have happen is you get stuck in a district with shitty players. You might eventually just say, fuck it, I want to move to another district. So we wanted to give players that option. So right now, like, the land contracts are only 7 days long. So you essentially pay your resources, add your land claim to a square, and then at the end of the 7 days, you have to renew it, basically. So kind of go through the process again. We'll eventually add longer contracts. So if you plan to just say, no, I'm just going to stay put on the same square, that's fine, and you'll be able to sort of set it for longer. But right now it's short by design because everybody's kind of moving around and still trying to figure out what they want to do.
What's the differences between these buildings? I see there's like the materials building, and then I see there's an energy mine. Like, I just bought a land claim. What building should I get, I guess, as a starter? Is there a strategy to this?
Yeah, I would say, like, I mean, the best yields right now are on the food facilities. So the actual exchange between the resource that you're producing to Obsidian, which is the in-game, let's call it USD, if you will. So the in-game token that's sort of fueling the whole Novopangea game is called Obsidian. So energy mines produce energy, materials, obviously materials, and food is food. They're just generic by design right now. But like I was saying when we were just sort of BSing at the start, the lands are eventually going to start producing their own unique resources. So eventually you'll be able to add some sort of raw material, so it could be a plant or rocks or something, right? That will get fused to that land, and that will produce, the buildings then can produce something unique that can be then on-sold through retail, right? So then that's going to fuel the PvP layer that's coming. So it could be a space dust, for example, that you add to armor or something that gives you an extra defensive buff. So it'll be those type of things that will be coming, and that's where the land will start to really establish value as we go forward. So right now, if you're planning to just like buy land and then hold, it's definitely a more longer term hold until those other pieces come out. It's certainly not like some of the other games that we've seen where you purchase land and they have varying rarities to them right at the jump. Like these don't have rarities at the minute. So they're really designed to either support the building that's going to go on it, and then eventually there will be more rarity aspects that get added to it, as we start to introduce these individual pieces, these resource pieces.
If I get a materials building, can I trade that for food at some point? Like, can I trade the stuff here for what the other buildings make?
So you can swap it in the exchange. So do you have the game open in another tab? I can kind of show you where that lives.
Log me out. I was just gonna buy a building first so we could figure out how that works.
Yeah. So when you produce, so if you buy the food building, you'll produce food. So what you can do is then you can sell that food for obsidian, and then with your obsidian you can purchase materials, you could purchase energy if you want to. So that all lives within the exchange that's inside of the game. So that allows you to kind of then be self-sufficient to get some other materials if you need to. We do issue some free materials at the start, just to kind of kickstart the person in the game. Just so other people know, Obsidian's not on Alcor right now. It's not tradable. And that's by design because we're not pushing it to Alcor until we've released more features, until we've got all of the features, the upgrades. We need to have more complete game before we put the downward pressure on the token. So we also
materials building. It's cheaper than the food building, and I don't know if I want to upgrade to a food building, I will. But for now,
yeah, I mean, and that's fine because you can produce some materials, and then you're going to get your yield per shift, and then you can just sell some of them and then swap them to kind of maneuver within the game. So because every shift you're going to have an energy expense and a materials expense, like they're kind of like your daily, or I should say your shift working expenses, so you've got your outflows that you have to manage, and so you just got to make sure you have those in your storage. You can upgrade your storage as well. So that's kind of like a clash sort of mechanic. As you start to accumulate materials quickly, you may want to upgrade. So you'll need materials and obsidian to upgrade. So there's a pretty comprehensive game guide. So it's gameguide.novopangea.io for folks that want to check it out. And it's got all the screenshots and all the detail.
So how do I claim my land now if I have?
Yeah, so really you can just pick a square. So you can see the free resources as well that are in your account at the top there. So you just pick a square you want.
You said I can move this in like a week, so it doesn't really matter.
Correct. Yeah. So you're not stuck. So what'll happen now is your land claim will pop up here, and you can
stake land.
Yep. So just click that. So you kind of get the notification there. Doesn't really matter at the minute because there's no tax. So that'll matter later. So once that kind of catches up, you'll kind of have the little fence will appear around your square. So it's just lagging a little bit probably because of the stream, but
I already forgot which I selected. I think it was this one.
I think it's so did you actually get a building?
I did get a building. It doesn't. I don't have the fence yet though.
So yeah, probably just refresh.
I'll refresh.
Yeah.
Give it the old refresh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so you've got your square there. So now you can what you need to do here is decide, are you going to use it for yourself or are you going to rent it out? So this is where if you were a landowner and you were just like, I'm not putting my own buildings on there. I'm just going to let the, other players use it. You would leave that box unchecked. But if you plan to add your own building, then you just check the box and then hit submit, and that will deduct as well. So you see there, it's going to cost you 50 materials for the week.
So my goal is basically to mine enough materials to be able to at least do this again for the next week, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea, is that you'll have either your own workers or use other players' workers to just continually, work your building. So the shifts are 12 hours long, and you'll just accumulate the materials resource in the storage. And then once you're sort of getting close to maxing out, you can either decide, do you want to exchange some of it to beef up the other resources, or you can upgrade the storage, the material storage if you want to.
So now I can stake my building.
Yep.
Oh.
But to answer the person who said they want to get started with hardly anything, the easiest way is just to get a worker, and then you can send your worker into somebody else's land. So that'd probably be the easiest way and the cheapest way to get into the game, just to try it out.
Yeah, and so just real quick, so if you go to there's a couple of the little filters there next to the space realm icon. I'll show you kind of what these do, because these are helpful. So this one on the top here, this will actually show you where your stuff is. So if you click on that, you'll see it glows there.
Nice.
So as it's getting really cluttered, it's just a quick way if you kind of like, shit, where did I put my stuff? The one underneath it here with the little pick, so this one here, this actually shows you where the jobs are. So you can see there the 1 obsidian signs that are on all those particular buildings. So these are players that have jobs available. So it's a quick way where you can then click on any of these particular buildings. And, you can then, if you have a skilled worker, you could drop one of your workers into their building and away you go. So it's just a really fast way to find it. The other filter next to it, and it just kind of lops the top off the building. So, it's just a quick, easy way to, as the board sort of, especially with these taller buildings, sometimes it's hard to see where the squares are. So you can keep those two filters on, and it'll show you really quickly where the open jobs are. The other icon I'll just show you, Lewis, is so underneath on the left-hand side here, it's like the missions icon, one underneath it. So this is kind of your inventory. And then this one here as well, if you're sort of going to play like, I want to put my stuff on other people's lands. So this is actually interesting. Like there's no land actually for rent right now in this particular district, which is pretty wild. And then this particular screen here will show you any building owners that have jobs available. So this is the jobs board. So just depending on how you want to do it. If you want to play from the main map or play from the inventory, it just gives you a different sort of view depending on how you want to work it over. And then there's your inventory kind of sits in here. So your land, your buildings, your workers, you can do all the tasks that you need to do. So, set your wages, set your rentals if you want to, or if your workers have ended their shifts, you can, feed the workers or wake them up if they've ended the rest period and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more enhancements that we're adding, just bulk capabilities. There's some CPU enhancements that we're making to just kind of reduce the amount of signing that's happening as well. So there's some great feedback that we've been getting from a lot of our players that are playing quite a lot of pieces. So it's been really helpful. So we're actively working on those updates right now to get those things in, just to make it better UX for the players.
So if I only have one skilled worker, is it better that I don't click I plan to use my skilled workers? Can I just join the job with 1 out of 3 after I put it available?
Yeah. So what you want to do is, if you only have one worker, what you want to do is leave the box unchecked. So this is kind of a workaround at the minute. So if you have 3 workers, then you would check the box. But if you only have 1, it's better to sort of leave it unchecked, because essentially all you're doing is paying yourself. And it leaves then 2 slots available. So if somebody else comes along, they can add, a couple workers in there for you as well. So it's kind of a,
Anybody wants to hop in that's watching. Oh wait, what?
yeah.
Not enough. Do I need more building materials to do this?
So you do not have enough materials at the minute. So this is kind of good because we can show everybody what you need to do here. So, so right now, like you're sitting on, I think you need 45 materials. So what you need to do is, I would sell some of my energy because we've given you, and again, full transparency, this is by design because we want people to use the exchange early to get into the habit of swapping resources. So what I would do is sell some of your energy. You don't need to sell it all, but maybe just sell, because what you're going to do, 1 obsidian's worth 60 materials. So even if you did like 35 energy, like that'll give you like a half of an obsidian. So you can just sell that, and then you can just buy some materials, and you'll be golden. So you can just get like 20 or 30 or whatever you want to do, and then that'll give you enough. So, and this is, again, it's just getting players into the habit early of kind of using the exchange so you can start working the resources, versus going, oh shit, I've run out. What do I do? I'm stuck. You're not stuck. You just got to sell and buy. And that just gets people into the habit early.
All right, so now I have the 70 building resources. I think that's enough, right?
Yep. So you'll be golden now. So you can just leave that unchecked, hit submit, and yep. So your wage is all set now. So now, you'll be able to add your worker to that particular building. So if you click on it or any other player clicks on it, the worker modal appears now, and you can see there's 0 of 3 taken. So there's 3 shifts available. You can select yours, and there you go.
Earning those sweet minerals.
Yep. So we give you we give you the resources in the front as well. So you're actually able to kind of borrow against the resources before the shift ends. So if you see there,
yeah, 225 building resource now.
Yeah. So now you've got sort of plenty of resources to work with now. So depending on, how you were playing right now, you could sell some of those as well to kind of beef up, some of the others. So if you're a little light on, food or whatever, so again, that's kind of why you're getting the resources in the front as well. So you're kind of able to borrow against the resources before the shift actually ends as well.
Is the value of the resources in Obsidian fixed, or is that a dynamic market value?
We will have an AMA when Obsidian ends up on Alcor, but it's just fixed right now because it's really just acting really as an in-game untradeable currency at the minute. It's just really getting the gameplay off the ground, but eventually, yes, we will.
Nice. And for the resources in game too, like food to Obsidian, is that like a fixed rate, or is that also going to be based on market conditions? Yeah,
I think probably in time. I think right now it's just static, but I think it will change. I mean, it will, based on volume of buildings that are out there, and sort of as we see today, commodities have different value. So I'm sure we will eventually, so right now it's 50 food to 1 obsidian, it's 60 building materials to 1 obsidian, and it's 70 energy to 1 obsidian. But that could change, over time. just depending on what's being mined and what's not.
I see. It's like the meta.
That's why I didn't want to go with food, because I feel like buying into the meta is always dangerous, because the meta shifts basically. Too many people go for one thing, it always shifts to the other thing. But I was like, I'm gonna go with just gamble on this one because it's cheaper. But if anybody has any extra workers, look for neon fanatics on the building and join my revolution, my space revolution.
Get in there. So yeah, I mean the squares in the middle there. So that's the district town hall that sits there. So eventually, we'll be adding kind of a Novo staking mechanic here. So you'll be able to stake Novo to the town hall to earn Novo rewards. So that's going to be a big piece of the game. That'll impact kind of upgrade mechanics and those sort of things. So right now, like, players will be able to upgrade on their own to level 3. And then we're sort of formulating how we can introduce a more community-based type of play to kind of see if we can introduce kind of a layer there where the community really has to work together to upgrade. So we're just sort of formulating some things right now as pros and cons, but that's kind of the idea. It's really, this whole game is really designed to be a very community-centric game. Eventually we'll have kind of like in-district chat, and those type of things will be coming as well. So districts will eventually be able to close off kind of communication to other districts and can start strategizing and different things when there's just more in the game.
Can District 1 eventually subjugate the other districts and start some kind of Hunger Games?
It's possible. People have asked. I mean, I guess anything's possible. So, I mean, we might see that as kind of the governance layer takes off, that, the political scheming, or, maybe a district is leveling up to District 6 and one has stayed at District 1. They have no tax money left, and who knows? So it's just, I think the challenging part with everything is when you're dealing with assets that have real world value outside of the game, like, that's going to be the challenge. Is you can't just have probably someone come in and say, well, we're liquidating you. Your district's like fucking Skid Row now. Too bad. And, everybody in here is going to get bought out. But
nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you can kind of see where it's going now. Like, this is really just the foundational layer for, the stuff that's going to come later. So, most of the PvP games we've played, you have kind of like these town center or kind of eco layers where you go buy all your stuff, and this will be that layer essentially. So you'll go into these different buildings or retail stores and you'll purchase your stuff, but you're going to purchase it from other players that have kind of been building up to that point.
And then you can level up your buildings, you're saying, right? And does your land also level up, or is land just land?
Land's just land at the minute, but that's where the raw resource that we'll add to the land will start to differentiate its value. Depending on how valuable that raw resource is to the ecosystem. So that will kind of really start to differentiate if you're, sitting on, again, I'll just use the shitty example, but if you're sitting on these mushrooms that are very, there's not many of them in the actual whole realm, and they have a massive advantage in PvP, then if you kind of work from there backwards, then people are going to want to buy them. They're going to be worth a lot, which means then if you are not producing them yourself, you could charge more rent to have the building on there. So you kind of see like the economic flow on that happens, based on those things.
Yeah, I see.
I also noticed I now can't select the other realms since I'm in this realm.
Right. So once the permits come, that'll open up, and then depending on what permit you have, if you do have a mythic card, you automatically are, you're permit free. You can just roam Novopangea in entirety. So that'll kind of have your own sort of free pass, if you will. But otherwise, yeah, there'll be permits will be in the marketplace. They're not going to be, exorbitantly priced or anything like that, because we want to encourage people to play and go wide. So you'll be able to get those with credits, and it'll open it up.
So shifts are 12 hours, so I need to check back in 12 hours for my guy, right?
Yeah, so shifts are 12 hours, and then there's a rest period. And like I was saying, the rest period, you'll be able to reduce that rest period with the more sort of high-end cards. So if you do pull an epic or up, you can hold on to those cards and reduce the rest period or speed it up, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's what's been happening in the community. A lot of players that bought the higher end packs, the producer pack, which was the middle, and the director's pack, are all sitting on those more high end cards because they want the speed up, the rest speed up, and because they just have more utility in the game. So it'll enable you to get your workers back into the buildings faster.
Oh,
Making me want to rip another pack.
And these brown ones here, these were our very first early releases we did. So they're actually the sketch drawings of so those cards that you pulled, these are sort of the sketches of them. So they have value as well. So they have credit value as well. But these were just different cards that we produced.
oh.
It's like an
Dang.
epic is like $30 right now, or 280 wax. I'd probably
What's the-
YOLO into ripping more packs just because I'm a degen.
I'm kind of like
Yeah.
I just like ripping packs. So
Yeah, let the RNGs decide. RNGs.
Well, I think we can transition to the
Yeah, let's give away one of these packs.
Or-
Damn, that's cool. So now Lewis, now that you have a building and a worker, your next goal is to build enough, get enough in-game materials to level your building up, correct?
Yeah, so that will be the goal. So, I mean, upgrades are part of our 1.1 release. It's going to be coming out, so you'll be able to upgrade your buildings. So that will mean your building has more capacity, so it'll hold more workers. And then skilled worker upgrades mean your yields will increase. So right now, level 1, it's 200 materials. So that goes up as you upgrade. You produce more yield. So if you're a building owner and a worker owner, that's kind of where you're maximizing the value, because you can hold more workers. And
the building side, a higher level building only has more capacity for more workers, but the higher level worker is what boosts the yield that they produce. So
exactly.
Getting you a higher level building basically just opens you up for renting out or sticking more of your own workers in there. But if you wanted to maximize yields, your goal is to level up your workers.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
so
I'm thinking that.
so you won't be able to. So the other part too is a level 2 skilled worker won't be able to work in a level 1 building. So
okay, I see. So then if you want to have higher yield, you also need to find builders or buildings that have the similar levels. Okay, so then that does incentivize just strictly a building owner to level up their building, even if they're not trying to grind their worker level ups, because at least then they can make their spot available to people who do grind their worker level but don't have high level buildings.
Yeah, correct. So that's kind of where some of the feedback that we got from the community as well was if I've leveled up my building and I'm more of that player that's looking for workers to come and work in my building, that adding filters like you can't work in my building unless you're level 2. So filters like that, because I guess there was some feedback that was a problem with some other games where level 1 workers would then just go into the level 2 buildings, and then people would get pissed because they're like, I'm not maximizing my returns here.
Yeah, I see.
So just things like that, it's been really handy hearing that type of stuff, because we can sort of add some filters where you might be able to just then specify and say, sorry, you're not going to be able to access this building unless you're level 2.
So you could eventually could you have like a level 4 building that has like a level 3 cap or something, so that you could have level 3 workers in a level 4 building?
Yeah, I think
So
so. Like, I mean, and that was sort of what we were thinking as well, where
yeah,
again, you can just in the UI, specify kind of what you're willing to accept, working in your building. So as more, you're at level 5 or 6 or something, you might say, 4, 5, 6 is fine. So exactly what you're saying. It just, you can ultimately decide who can access the building or who can't.
I guess here's a
Okay.
question: like, if Max wanted to get in, would it be better if Max got into a different realm so we could like trade stuff between the two of us, or is there going to be like in the future factions going to battle each other and like I'm going to want Max on my team, so it's better for him to also be on space, or like what would you recommend for
Good
that?
question, because I am interested in getting in, and I was gonna go Shadow if otherwise, if it's better for us to be together, then I'll definitely go Space too. Neon Space team for the win.
Yeah, I think the guy that's building the games, or I have a product. I think he's a big Clash of Clans player. So I think the plan is to have. So I mean, you'll see it when we eventually get there. So I mean, PvP is very much going to be like 3-on-3. So it's very influenced by Final Fantasy and some of these. Again, we're showing our age here, but some of these more older games. So it'll be sort of that 3-on-3 sort of style, turn-based sort of style. But eventually you'll be able to play as a team, so you can have kind of like a bench that you can swap in and out. So I think like right now it's so early. So I don't think you're really going to be an advantage or a disadvantage if you play in the same realm or if you played in another district, because or played in another realm, or played in the same district, or even in a different district in the same realm, because you are going to have flexibility later to move around. The real advantage, I think, is going to be is when you can do trading posts. Like that's when the advantage is going to be, because if you guys are working together, and so Max, if you were in Shadow, you might be producing these mushrooms we've been talking about, and then say, I'm going to ship these back, to a different realm now. So that's really where the advantage is going to be, because now
Is it potentially like I could potentially supply them to Lewis in Space Realm where they have a higher value since you can't grow them there, and then he could? Is that, or am I, that's I'm making that more complicated than it is?
No. I mean, that's kind of really what it is that your bootlegging stuff, really back to other realms, right? So, and that's kind of where eventually, with different recipes and things, you can start crafting combinations of stuff together, and that's only going to help you as you compete against other players from other realms. You might have now some sort of double defense against, a different team, right? So, I mean, as the game kind of expands, we've looked at different games, eventually I think we'll have teams where you can possibly team up with players from other realms as well. So there'll be kind of more of a arena sort of style, combat. But eventually, there might be tournaments and things like that where you're playing as clans, or, even teaming up with other players from other realms. So I think everything's kind of sort of being sort of drafted and, kind of tabled at the minute, so of where it goes.
That's definitely our. We love being able to play together. Like even just ZOS right now, where like you can do a mission together, even though it's just a clicker. Like brings such a more fun aspect when you're doing it with your friends and with your community, rather than just like I'm solo clicking this button every couple hours or whatever. Like I don't know, big fan of that.
I also love the idea of I can set up my land right next to where your building is and plop down a building right next to you, and then plop down like an empty plot next to that and be like, anyone else who wants to build, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen that already, where players are teaming up. They're like, hey, let's play in the same district together, and then as the game kind of grows, we can start to strategize. Hey, I'm going to build, bring this thing back to my trading post, and you go do this thing and bring this one back. And I think that's what we were hoping that would start to develop, is this community, teamwork would start to eventually, formulate in these districts. And that's kind of the genesis of what we were hoping was eventually come out, with the gameplay.
Yeah, and you're saying that if I owned any one mythic NFT, that would count as a pass to like go between realms with like impunity.
Yeah, correct. So it'll kind of has dual purpose. It'll help you massively with the speed ups of cooldowns, and then it'll act as a permit, a global permit, basically.
Oh, there's only 12 of each of these, and there's only like one of each of them listed, and they want like $1,000 for it. Damn.
Start ripping
Well,
packs.
Yeah. There's still some in the packs, right? I could get lucky.
I think there are actually still some in some riders. I haven't looked recently, and I probably should, but yeah, I think I don't think all of them have been claimed.
Damn. Oof. That is the chase.
It is the chase, yes. So,
Before we do the giveaways, I'm just gonna play this video because I want to see what it looks like.
The chase. Damn, that pack's fucked. That's such a good pack. Nice. That's cool. I like the animated
Now I
version
want
of
to get
that.
like 2 more lands, and I want to get the other resources so I can have like 1 building for each resource and just be super self-sufficient. But
I know, I'm already like, this is super dope. I have to go. I don't know. Probably rip some packs too, degen style. As I am just buying lands, but like I don't know. I could get lucky and get a mythic.
you might. There, I think there's. Yeah, I mean, somebody pulled a mythic from a Riders actually a couple weeks ago. So, there.
So
There's one
I'm
or two.
Overdue for one more. That's how that works.
Yeah, I know there's tons of epics still and legendaries. So people are still pulling those.
Ooh, thanks for the subscribe. Hey, Burst.
is the Novopangea pool? Is that where they're being
Months,
pulled
damn.
from?
Yeah, so that's where all the cards are living right now. So, yeah, so
I can search for Meridian here.
you should be able to, yeah.
There are 5 mythics left.
There you go. And there's a card of creation too. So the card of creation is a special card where
Shit, there's only 4 of those.
yeah, so if you get one of those, you can actually, we will draw you and you can be a character in the game.
Oh,
That's
hell yeah.
It's
That's
funny.
cool as hell.
The people that actually have redeemed though, or actually got them, they didn't want to be drawn for whatever reason. So they were like, and they've actually sold them. So it's, yeah.
Damn.
I mean,
That's-
shit, you can put a mask on if you want. It's like,
Yeah.
box yourself. So,
That is pretty cool. It's also like 1 in 4. I'd have a hard time redeeming it just because of how rare it is, and I want it for my
I
collection.
think that's probably what I think. I'm guessing that's probably the thought process is that
Right.
as we get further down the road here, and you decide to claim it at whatever point, it's going to probably have a lot more value as the IP grows. So
Yeah. I'd have a hard time redeeming it now, but I'd also would just love having it. If you do get made as a character, do you get like an NFT of that as a?
yeah, so we would
Kinda-
actually give you like mint 1, of yourself.
Okay, all right, I'm back into the redeeming now. All right.
So that would be the idea, yeah. So you would essentially get yourself, and then you would become available as.
Fuck, that's cool. I rip some of these packs.
All right, so we have a couple of these riders packs to give away. We'll give them first place winner. We'll get a pack and we'll do a couple of races.
Yeah, this is the same pack Lewis ripped at the start of our journey into building
Yes,
the building.
once you get unlucky, you should probably get enough to get the creator credits, or that's what they're called, right? The credits to be able
correct.
to get an active worker or a skilled worker, and then you can maybe come to my land or anywhere.
Yeah, you can come help fill the slots. And then it's the same. If you get real lucky, you get enough credits. You could pull. You could redeem them for a land slot as well, right? Like that's also how the land slots are redeemed. Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you want to use them, you can. So there's still people doing that. If they just rip a banger and they get tons of credits, they're going that route versus spending. So
I would consider maybe holding on to the mythics, so they're so rare, and they'll give you the cross realm pass. So
it's hard to say what that's worth so far, just because there hasn't been a cross realm, like not the cross realm, but like the what was it called again? Like license or what is it called? Permit. The permits aren't live yet. Like moving between realms isn't a thing yet, so it's hard to value that.
Yeah, so I think the game will really start to open up. I think when the permits drop and start to really.
Land is a 36.
Yeah, 36. Sorry.
Okay, so you were close to that. Yeah, I'll be right back.
You're like 20 something.
Yeah, I think you were 20, 21 or 22. So yeah, when you were opening the producer packs, you were always getting at least one land per pack. But anyway.
All right, we have a marble intro. It gets very loud, so if sensitive ears, turn down. I'm sure we already blasted everybody with the other music, but here we go.
Let's get ready to
Somebody asked, what are the costs of the packs? The packs are $19 or 178 wax currently. Is that tethered to the dollar price?
It is tethered to the dollar price. And you can also get them with fiat from our Shopify store too. So
yeah, I saw you have like a Bitcoin and Ethereum option as well, right?
Yeah, so if you go to our Shopify store, you can use fiat if you want, or you can check out with crypto.com or Coinbase and use your ETH or BTC or whatever. So
yeah.
That's pretty dope.
There's a hard cap on these packs, it looks like, but there's plans to release potentially like new sets of packs for the like fog of war areas on the map still, correct?
Yeah, so we've got so there'll be a chapter 2 drop coming out probably in August, and that will be a lot smaller drop than we did for the first one. And that will be tied to the residential buildings. So there'll be. So we're trying to really manage the creator credits and circulation to how many buildings are out there. So we're just trying to make sure we're managing that. So yeah, we kind of probably overcooked it a little bit with the volume of packs, to be honest, that we pushed out there, because we just ran into the shit soup of the bottom falling out. But it's at the same time, we've had a lot of people say it's great that they can get packs whenever. It's, I don't know. I'm just kind of old school. I want to be able to buy a pack whenever. So, but managing mints and all that's important. So, yeah.
It's definitely for like gaming, especially. I feel like it's more important that like packs are available like at basically at the same like entry price as like the people who were here before you. I like that. I feel like I'm still buying in at drop price,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people just not everybody gets to you right away. you know, obviously you guys are just learning about us today, you know. So I mean, it's just so much out there, right? I mean, we're being introduced to new stuff every week, so you know, people just need time to kind of find you and then decide if they want to purchase from you. So
yeah, it's definitely like, I'm like happy that the pack sales are open. I'm probably gonna scoop a couple of those rider packs still.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we get, you know, the floor price on packs is better to buy them direct, you know, versus on secondary now. So they've been up above $19 for a while now.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, while there's you know, the game's sort of growing here, you know, we'll kind of push through these last few packs, and we're giving a ton of them away too, like with promotions and things like that. So you know, we'll kind of push through these last lot, and that'll be that. So, and then we'll do a lot smaller one for the next one.
Nice. Looks like Gikoriki got one.
Yeah.
On that
Congratulations, Gikoriki. We know Gikoriki, their wallet's good, but this is our disclaimer that we do not send prizes to wallets that have 0 purchased, and we also use Wax Detective if you're found entering multiple wallets into our races, or you're linked to other wallets. We will make you verify your identity or disqualify you. So please don't enter on multiple wallets. And if you buy nothing, sorry, but we give prizes to people that support wax creators, support the wax community. And if you want to leech and sell and flip, you can do that elsewhere. But
yeah, nothing wrong with doing it. Just don't do it here.
I like the thorough disclaimer there. That was solid.
Yeah. No boo-boos is the short version of it.
Otherwise, I get angry DMs like, "Why didn't you send me my prize?"
Yeah,
I tell people up front so they don't feel I cheated them by them watching our stream and getting nothing for free.
Yes, you get the when pack message. So
yeah, nice. Well, nice. Gikoriki definitely, and he's been around for a long time. Playing the games. He's a dinosaur in the wax space.
Start campaigning. If you want to get an active space guy, I need 2 more people in my building. So consider it. Consider it.
I'm gonna hopefully I pull something good and I'm build up a building next to you.
I think you should go into another realm though, so we have the cross realm.
I like that shadow art of like the like freaky thing holding like the 2 babies. That was like, yes, I'll go move in next door to that.
All right, so we'll give away another one of these riders packs.
Oh, Burst has some space stuff he can lend you, or you could just go work in Lewis's building. I think that's what he needs.
And I think Burst are playing in the water realm. So
Burst is in the water realm. Okay, then I'll go for a different one still, so the 3 of us will have different realms covered.
I think we're in district.
That's our audio cue! Exclamation point play if you want to join the giveaway.
Burst got water, space, and time. Okay, I don't see Shadow on that list, so I'm still Shadow's my front runner then.
Maybe we can convince Mark to get into one too.
Right, we'd still be missing light from that point.
Yeah. Then you'll have the set.
Get the whole rainbow.
Light's pretty. I mean, it's large too. Like it's kind of like it's like the South Dakota of Montana of Novo. It's like just massive amount of land.
We'll have a long-term goal. The like collective of us who now have like stake in every element. We'll work together and summon Cthulhu and end the world.
There you go.
Burst said he's jumping in Shadow, so he could sell you some stuff for cheaper if you want to Shadow stuff, Max.
Dope. Yeah, I'll hit you up, Burst.
And Trepnung said, I got a water realm worker, but have a light, and I couldn't find out how to get my worker started. You can only do 1 realm at a time right now, but in the future they're going to open it up so you can get a pass so you can do multiple realms.
Yep. So you could have.
Burst is saying Shadows is gonna do nothing here. Stay in the shadows and do nothing. I don't know.
That's slander. That is slander talk.
We'll see, dude. That's the thing, is like you just ignore the shadow and then all of a sudden
I will say that community is pretty tight, and they hasn't been as much on the secondary for Shadow as some of the other realms, for sure.
Yeah, hit me. I'll hit you up later, Burst, about your Shadow stuff. I'll relieve you of it and make a little steak for myself.
Max is going to come out of the shadows as a whale,
Right.
shadowed whale.
Yeah. There's space look good too, though. I don't know. I'll have to see what's going down. I like the creepiness of the Shadow artwork. I really liked that. Yeah.
I picked space for the aesthetic. I just like the buildings have like neon on them. That's also why I chose the building. I was like, this one has a big neon strip on it. Let's go.
That was my first thought was like I'll just join you in space and build like right next to you. But
Yeah, the main.
I'm down to
Here's a
see that.
question: do you have rules against multi-accounting? Like, if somebody wanted to play on 2 wallets and play in different realms, is that allowed or is that frowned upon?
I mean, I think like it's just, I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I mean, I think like right now we haven't frowned upon it. I think in our terms of service, you know, we're certainly wanting to play straight up, but I think like if we start to see people circumnavigating the game of, you know, either distributing workers between wallets and you're sort of trying to circumnavigate rents and wages and those sort of things, it's not really in the spirit of the game that we want to see. But, you know, we had some players that were genuinely kind of like, you know, hey, I'm either playing as a guild or something, you know, can we have some multi-account sort of functions? So, you know, again, we're focused on the gameplay itself and sort of trying to work the mechanics of the game to really prevent, or at least make it so that bots really, or bot networks really it's not worth their time, you know, to kind of really dig into our game. So that's easier said than done, of course. But
yeah,
you know, I think that was really advice that we got before we even started when we talked to actual studios and other gaming developers was focus on your mechanics, focus on the game itself, and, you know, try to really create as many different aspects and layers to the game that just sort of make it less attractive than a single clicker, if you will. So,
yeah. I think the long cooldowns definitely help mitigate like bot advantages.
yeah,
Like,
they do.
which that's nice. Like humans can keep up with that.
Yeah, and that was like, quite frankly, that was feedback we got was, you know, the cooldown factor is really where that can be the equalizer.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's the way to approach it too, because you're never going to be able to like stop bots if you're trying to police the botting community. That's just a losing game. You're just gonna waste your time. They're gonna like outpace you all the time because there's money to be made. So the move is to make sure there's not money to be made by botting.
yeah,
Or at
correct.
least not more money to be made by botting than by just playing. And then
Yeah,
so I
correct.
think that's the way to do it. Yeah. Nice. It's great to know. Like it's definitely, people are more aware of it now, like the botting problem in the WAC space in general, because I feel like even a year ago, like games were launching, you'd ask that same question, they'd be like, I don't know, I think it's not a problem, or be like, bots could be good, you know, it's good for metrics. It's like, then you don't understand the
I
bot
think another
problem.
thing, I know it might be a heated opinion, but something like a withdrawal fee, like when the stuff does go on Alcor, if like you have to lose a percentage, like that's what Brock Team Brawlers does. So if you have to lose a percentage to send it to your other account, it'll actually be more profitable if you have the passport and can just play them all on one account, because then you won't be sucking the fees out to send them between the accounts. So I think something like that would incentivizing players to play on one account so they can earn more that way and make multi-counting less profitable, because people are going to do what's more profitable. That's just how it works on Wax.
Yeah, exactly.
ROI. So if you can figure out a way that like it makes it more profitable to have everything on one account, or there's advantages to being in multiple realms and you get a boost or something, like then people will do that because it's more profitable than abusing the system.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's, you know, fees and different microtransactions and things like that. I think that you can introduce. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man. Like, I think that's kind of the approach that we want to take is make it more advantageous to play from one account. So, that's kind of the goal. And I think right now, like, we're kind of being honest with ourselves. Like, there's some improvements that we have to make, so it's not as CPU heavy. So we're kind of digging into those things right now. And that's kind of really, like I was saying at the start, that's kind of the focus of our team, is we just want to kind of build from this base right now and just make the game better and better. Just keep releasing more features and then just keep enhancing the UX. Whatever ways that we can sort of shave off, CPU or just time in general to improve the experience. Like, that's kind of what we want to just keep focusing on as we keep building it out.
Nice.
I like pretty much everything you've said, though. Like, I'm
Same.
definitely into this project, and like also partnering with Machinations or Machinations, however you say it. Like, that's almost like a thing where it's like you should be doing that if you're making a game, because like it's hard to predict like the thousands and millions of transactions and stuff happening. Like, in theory, it can sound good, but until you have something actually crunching those numbers and telling you like, oh, there's a problem here, like not enough people did that. And there's definitely been a lot of games that kind of just tanked immediately because they didn't have sound economies. So I almost think that's like, people shouldn't even be doing pack sales until they do that. But I'm happy to hear that you guys are working with them, because that's definitely like, it's necessary in the space. And there was basically none of that last year. Like, everybody just like spitballing ideas and be like, I think this will work, and then we saw that does not work well. Like,
yeah, I know for sure, man. It was, it was an investment we had to make, but we felt it was the right one to make right from the start. So essentially the way that it works with them is every time you do a release, any sort of major release or change, you have to get recertified. So our 1.0, which is kind of this MVP version, got fully certified. So right now with the upgrades and, speed ups and these sort of things, well, now it's impacting NFTs now. So now we have to get recertified for 1.1. So that's kind of the process that happens with these guys is, you can simulate just thousands of hours of gameplay, and it'll start to show you kind of where things are starting to turn inflationary, potentially, depending on the player persona.
Thank you for the follows. We will do one more rider pack giveaway, and then we will give away these other 2 packs, but I'll just save them for future streams so we can shout you out a couple times for people that aren't watching today.
Yeah, and then I'm going to buy one and open one too, just so I can get some stream RNG.
All right, so this will be our last giveaway of the day. Maybe I'll give one away tomorrow too, though. So if you're interested in winning one in the future, maybe consider following us on Twitch.
Let's see. Find this drop.
And I guess if anybody is new here, we stream Wax content 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday. Tomorrow is our Wax Wednesday. We'll go over just kind of like updates that happened over the weekend and stuff, and shoot the breeze about new drops and Wax and stuff. Thursday we got a Waxel World coming on, Ryu again. And she's also working with Machinations, which is good.
Yeah, I think
Friday we have
might be like 3 projects now that are. I think Nova Rally is working with them.
which they needed. That's another one where they launched a token too early and didn't really figure out their tokenomics to kind of tank. So I'm happy Sammy figured out what he's doing wrong and decided to partner with them.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to balance an economy.
No, I mean, honestly, even going through the process for just the MVP, we were like, when you kind of see how different players are going to play the game, and you look at the charts and you just like, fuck. I mean, it's crazy how fast it can turn.
Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what happens now is we have real-time data that's essentially piping back into Machinations, so we can see how the game's actually performing versus the assumptions. And so if things are not kind of moving in step with what the assumptions are, then you can make adjustments proactively versus reactively.
Yeah.
I'm the I had a question. He said, "Are you going to start dropping on Nefty, or are you just doing a banner run there? Like, will your feature drops potentially be through Nefty blocks, or you can continue through Atomic Hub?"
So yeah, I mean, I think the plan is we want to be kind of accessible everywhere. So we probably will end up just having packs on Atomic, and we'll probably do some packs on Nefty as well. I know people like earning the tokens through Nefty. I personally like their tools, so we may even do the next drop on Nefty. So yeah, we'll probably have it on both, to be honest. We probably have some packs as well in our store, so we're just trying to, again, be sort of Web 2 like and be everywhere. So
I kind of like that's what Waxdow did. It is Wojak packs. They're 10K to 3,000 on Nefty, 3,000 on Atomic Hub, and then 3,000 through his own website.
Yeah, and I think like it's the way to go. It's just everybody's different, whether platform centric or whatever. Just make it accessible in different places.
Yeah, I agree. That's dope. I like the. What is this? I found the drop on Atomic Hub and I bought a pack, so I'm gonna rip this. Hopefully pull something good. I'll share my screen after
the race.
Yeah, I'll share it after the race. Let's see.
Yeah.
Get something good.
Tight between the Casa and Dairy Milk. Ooh, Autumn's Toys squeezing in there. Dairy Milk cleaned up on Saturdays. We do Fall Guys giveaways. Fall Guys is not an NFT game, but you can do a private round, and then we give NFT prizes to the winners. And Dairy Milk won every single one last week. with changing the rules this week that you can't win that many prizes, so we can spread the love. But very good Fall Guys player. Shout out to Dairy Milk.
Damn, you have a 5 millionth chance to pull a mythic from this pack. 0.005%. That's some serious luck.
And congrats to the Boncasa. I don't recognize your wallet, so we have a form if you're new here. You fill out this form and just ask for your Twitch username and your Wax wallet so we can have that after the show. We will send it to you.
Yeah, here, let me share my screen and rip this pack and hopefully get lucky. All right, I got a rider pack. Same thing we're giving away right now. Let's see. Oh, I don't think I shared my audio. I guess I just get to hear it.
You're a little bit through your...
Chapter 1, baby. Oh yeah, I got that should get me enough for my worker. Okay, I didn't get the mythic, but not bad.
You get 2 uncommons?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this guy, and then she looks dope, and this guy.
Time.
From Time. That looks cool.
Yeah.
The artwork on these is dope. And I like her.
So Bora space.
Nice. I don't know if I should roll the dice again here. Chase that mythic.
I kind of want to do another one, but I'll probably sit and think on it for a minute. Before we end up here, I really quickly want to show we just got some new marble trophies. We do marbles for every stream if you're new here. And we do like 3-month-long seasons, so if you watch us consistently throughout the months, you can win a NFT with your name on it, potentially. The top racer gets a custom 1-of-1 trophy. So I'll show that real quick. Paul just finished the last seasons last night. This is an exclusive. Roswin's won the last season, so this is Roswin's 1 of 1 trophy, and then the top 100 racers get a racer trophy. So let's show and top 10 eliminations. So if you die a bunch, you also get a trophy, and I'll show that one off. I think this one's super cool. You lose. Good day, sir. I'm jealous of that. I might have to try to buy that on the aftermarket. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Let me play the sound bite.
You get nothing. You lose. Good dinner.
So
You lose.
that's awesome. Top 10 of people who got the most eliminations will get that one. And if you sell it on Atomic Hub, I'll probably buy it. So hopefully some flippers get it.
Yeah, those ones are like rare. There's only 10 of them.
People don't sell them very often too. When they do, it's for more than I want to pay for it. Is there anything you want to close with, Walk, before we raid into someone?
No, I mean, I really appreciate the time. I know we covered a lot of ground. So, yeah, I think, I think just like I said, I mean, we're trying to really leverage our past experience to build a long-term sustainable product here for Wax. And we're excited about where we've at least started the game right now. It's kind of like birthing a baby. It's going to sort of grow from here. But we're excited where the project overall is going, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of other cool stuff that's going to be interconnected to support the future health of the game. So a lot of the IP related stuff is only going to drive more new users over time. So I think that's kind of where our expertise from our past lives, I think, is really going to help our project. Because we're trying to really build this as a full scale business, quite frankly. And I know that term just doesn't get used enough, but that's what it is for us, is, we want to build a really good product, for Wax. And so we're excited, man. And I appreciate you guys having me on and purchasing some packs and doing all this cool stuff. So thanks for the support, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thanks
for
for joining
sure.
us.
That's
I definitely
fun.
learned a lot, and I'd seen some screenshots of this and I had no idea how it worked. I was like, oh, they have like a functional game. I definitely want to play it. So I'm glad I have a bit of a stake now. So I've wrap my mind around it.
Walking through it like that, yeah, that did it for me. I'm definitely interested. I'm gonna start building and playing now too. I was just a little overwhelmed without it was nice to have you here to walk us through and do it in real time and learn by
I also
doing.
think because you guys are actually delivering in the middle of a bear market, it's also kind of testament to your belief in the space and the project, that you weren't just here to launch last August when everything that had staking was printing money. You're here during the hard times. You're continuing to develop, and sounds like you're pushing updates pretty frequently. So I'm excited to see.
That's where the proof's in the pudding is. It's easier to get it out there, but then continuing to update and put money into it is where you kind of see whether the project's financially solid or not.
Yeah.
So I think for us right now, I mean, we're kind of fortunate because we have the means to do it on our own. We're obviously trying to go faster, which is why we're seeking out investment support. And so, but that's really all it is for us, is it just helps us go faster. And we're just in build mode now. So we're quite content with us being able to just put our heads down and make a good product. So
yeah, it's definitely cool too. It's the foundation of the economy for what's to come still is basically what we can participate in at this point.
A ton of attention to detail. The attention to detail is what first drew it to me, because it was just the artwork is so much better than most NFT games. Sorry to throw shade to our planet, but this does not compare to their rigs, those mining rigs, which look kind of cool. But I don't know, having real art and the backstory and everything weaving together, it just seems like a very well thought out project, and a lot of time and care is put into it.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, like I said, we're very active in Discord. We're accessible there. So if anybody's got more questions, or you can ping me. We're there. So just come and hang out.
I will post an invite to the server just in case somebody wants to join. And then I think Franklin 14th streams for you guys, right?
Yeah, he does. He's our community manager as well. So, he supports Nifty Kicks and he supports Novo as well. So, but he's very, very active. And then Rob as well is our other community manager. So they kind of tag team together. But, the whole team's in there, quite frankly. So, I mean, even our developers are in there a lot. So we have different community groups that are kind of, acting as testers. We have, community testers and stuff like that. So, we're trying to really lean on the community that helps out. So
I posted a link. This is a link to join the Discord. And then this is a link to Franklin the 14th's Twitch channel if you want to follow him. And then you might be able to get some more updates, which I will be doing because now that I have a stake in the game, I want to know what's going on. And thanks for joining us, everybody. We play this song as our play out song, and I'll raid into somebody. But thanks for joining. We'll be streaming again tomorrow at 12 p.m. same time, just for general Wax stuff. Thursday we got Waxel. Friday we're doing our TikTok where Max does chart reading, and we'll talk about just more finance stuff, I guess, and DeFi stuff. And Saturday we have our Fall Guys and Super Blend Day. So got a fun week of streaming ahead of us, and we will see you all later.
Oh man, your boy Kevin just lost lots of money. Oh, but that's okay. I am with you, with you. Oh man, your boy Kevin just lost lots of money. Oh, but that's okay. I am with you. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening?
First of all this whining by Wall Street is making me sick. 140% of GameStop was short. GameStop was short. You can't allow Wall Street to short 75% of its stock, crush these companies into the dirt, thousands of stocks into the dirt. Then when the individual makes money, everyone's entrepreneurs. I have a kid who bought a house, paid $50,000 and bought a house. After decades of the short, you have to accept the fact that individual investors are playing the same game that you're playing, and now you're losing.
Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening? Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, push it, push it, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it, find the dip, find the dip. Here we go, come on, push it. Oh my God, what's happening?
There's a lot of power in organization online. 2 million people can get together in a subreddit. I think it's really funny that the GameStop stock is going up and just affects the market in that way. There's 20,000 people live in a Discord who are spamming rocket emojis, yelling, "Go to the moon."
All right, I'm going to raid into NFT Action News, and we will see you all later. Peace out.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to reach out to Burst and see